you're off to the races. Welcome to a new episode of the Rebel Radio podcast. And it's been a weird week. We will tell people the truth. We almost did not record. We almost took a week off.
Yeah.
Which is rare for us because I have been battling the flu, and it's been miserable, to say the least. It kicked my ass so hard. It's still kicking my ass a little bit. Still not 100%. So if I do that during the show, apologies. Just don't turn it off and say, this motherfucker's coughing everywhere. I'm not going to listen to this shit. So it's funny. I didn't cough all morning. Now we sit down and record, and it's like, I start coughing.
Now all of a sudden you have to cough. That's how it is. It never works around your schedule.
No, it's not convenient. But yes, I'm on the mend. Here we are, fighting through it. The show must go on, but it happens. We almost missed a week, but we did not. Here we are.
We're battling it out, man. Battling it out.
And if you get this Tuesday morning instead of Monday morning, again, that was because of the flu bug, and we're recording this a little late in the week. So if I don't get it all done in one day and edited and put out, well, forgive me.
Yeah,
Give you something to listen process, to while you're
man. Yeah,
while you're eating your turkey dinner, or you're sick and tired of hearing family, and you're like, I'm going to go listen to Mark and Matt on the Rebel Radio podcast.
Damn, Mariah Carey's popping up on the radio, and you're like, I need a break from Mariah. We'll take it.
That was kind of random, but sure.
Yeah. All I want for Christmas is you, Yeah,
that's so old. And really?
Yeah. See, it's much better to listen to us.
You're an internet meme. God damn it.
Be all that you can meme.
You should be one. Fuck's wrong with you?
I don't know. That's a good question.
But yeah, so I spent a lot of time this week. I did work for parts of the week fighting through the flu, and did take a day off and went to the doctor and got some medications but I spent some time, just resting a lot in the bed, curled up with my hot tea, which I fucking hate. I hate hot tea. It's disgusting, but it's necessary when you're not feeling good. And it does help. My blanket and my television, and was able to watch a few things this week, which is good at least. But I still would have rather been feeling better than the way I felt. Because man, this kind of stuff's safe to talk about now in the world we live in. I've had COVID a couple times, and even COVID didn't kick my ass like this flu has kicked my ass this week. It's been rough, and so I don't recommend it on anyone. Try to avoid things like the flu.
Yeah,
get your flu shot.
Definitely avoid it.
You can. I usually do get a flu shot, but I haven't got one this year yet. And I usually don't get the flu. So go figure. I haven't got a flu shot yet. I get the flu.
Yeah, most of them are. I think they've made them like free. So it's just the get up, make an appointment. Get out of the house.
Most of the time, you just walk into a pharmacy and get one.
Give me the shot. Give me the juice.
Yeah, it's like you get more bionic parts inside of me.
There you go, like Peyton Manning, whenever he had that neck surgery.
Real life RoboCop or something. Where the robo parts and a robo worker at my store I work at.
If you can get that attachment that allows you to accurately shoot a guy in the dick, that'd be cool.
That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, he did do that.
Got the attachment.
Shot a guy in the dick.
Never mind. You got that
that one attachment.
Yeah, it's made you let's go all the time. Ready to go. Yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, so in my week off, man, I didn't, it's funny. I said I watched a lot, but I didn't watch a whole lot. I had never seen Bad Boys for Life, the third Bad Boys.
I forgot there was a third one.
It. Yeah, I watched it, man. Shit had me rolling, dude. It's funny. It's kind of funny that I watched it in a week in which Will Smith made the news again for apparently some unsavory things, having sex with a male coworker. Apparently, you didn't see that. Yeah, apparently he was caught in the act. He was caught in a sex act with another male actor on set of some film. That's the rumor anyway. Of course, Jada comes out and defends him as always and says, "Oh no, he didn't do this." So you don't know if your husband's sucking pee-pee behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying it's Hollywood. I guess those things happen. But yeah, man, Bad Boys for Life was it was funny, man. There's Martin Lawrence, dude. It's funny. Those movies aren't really Will Smith's not really the funny one. It's Martin Lawrence, dude. He's hilarious. He cracks me up in those movies.
Yeah, Will Smith just kind of plays off of Lawrence.
Yeah, and it was good, man. It's Michael Bay makes a weird cameo in it, even though he didn't direct this one. He just produced it. And he comes on the screen. I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's Michael Bay in the middle of a scene for some strange reason. He plays like a preacher or something that's in a wedding scene. I'm like, oh, that's odd.
That's funny. I didn't know. Yeah.
But whoever did direct it, I didn't even look who directed. They sure tried to copy Bay. It's got the 360-degree shots and the lower camera angles and swooping around and all that stuff and slow motion
explosions.
Yeah, lots of explosions and
yeah. But
it was entertaining. It was a good afternoon watch for a couple hours, something I hadn't seen before, and I enjoyed it. And I have it on my Vudu account. I'm not sure why. Might have been one of those free movies I got, or maybe someone. There used to be a guy at work that would hand me codes and stuff, and it might have been one of those where he handed me a code and I got it. Sometimes I've gotten free codes off of like movie groups and stuff too, so I probably picked up the code from somewhere along the line, and I just never sat down and watched it. So I decided, I have this on my account, I might as well watch it.
Nice, man.
But it's pretty good. And then I watched the first 2 episodes of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. And the new anime that's on Netflix.
Looks pretty cool.
It's fun. It's fun. It's definitely it's it's not kid friendly. Just beware. Now it's not kid friendly in the sense that the kids probably aren't going to notice the stuff in it, but it's definitely closer to the comics and more R-rated. Where the movie's PG-13, the comic is a little more. The anime is a little more mature. There's no nudity or anything like that in it. It's just the things that the characters say. And maybe the kids watching it won't notice it because it's a fast-paced anime, but it just beware, it is a little bit more mature than even the movie was, and the movie's pretty mature for a PG-13 film. But so far, I'm really enjoying the heck out of it. The first episode is almost just like the movie, and then the second episode tends to break out into more what the comic was, the expanded story, the comic books and things like that. And so I'm 2 episodes into it, and definitely I'm going to watch it. I mean, I love the movie, and the anime so far is really good, really well done. It's cool because all the original voice came back. They got Michael Cera, Elizabeth Weinstead. Everyone came back to do their parts. Even Chris Evans is in there for his voice. So I think that's cool that they got
Evans came back.
They got everyone. Brandon Routh is in there. Yeah, they got everyone to come back for their voices in the original cast. Awesome. And I think that's cool. Aubrey Plaza, the same girl who played Knives. They're all back for the show. The only weird thing is Michael Cera he still sounds the same, but not, because he has grown up a little bit. Where everyone else kind of sounds the same. Where Sarah, I don't know, he just sounds a little different. Or maybe it's the way he's playing Scott. He's playing him a little different, I guess, in the voice of the show. But it's good so far, man. I like it. I'd been looking forward to it for a while. So that's cool. They're going to basically adapt the comic books and make an anime out of it, and it's finally here, and it's on Netflix now. And definitely worth watching. I'm trying to think, did I watch anything else this week? What did you check out while I think about it? I know there's something else I watched, and just my mind is escaping me yet. Well, I started on Fincher's The Killer, but I haven't finished it yet.
Oh, okay.
I did start it. It's a slow burn. Yeah, I did start it, but I haven't finished it. My early review on it's okay. I'm not super stoked on it or anything. It's I'll finish it. But so far it's it's all right. Yeah.
Yeah. I went ahead and you had mentioned the trilogy. I forget what how you related. Yeah. relate it, but it was it's the Poirot trilogy or Detective Poirot. I don't know. He's French. Poirot.
It's just Poirot.
Yeah.
It's not hard to say.
Yeah. It's his mustache. It gets in the way of him pronouncing his words. I don't know. And but I like it. I watched all 3 films. And of course, in true fashion, as always, I bought something that was streaming again. I didn't think it was.
You texted me that, and I'm like, yeah, it's owned by Disney Fox. They put it on Hulu the day it came out for on video or digital for free streaming.
I guess I assumed because it was so new that it just wasn't streaming. So I just, bought it. But I watched.
You need to start texting me. Hey, Mark, I'm thinking about buying this movie at streaming anywhere because I usually know.
Yeah, dude. That's a good idea. Like, hey, man, what do you think? Like, hey, dude, pump the brakes. It's going to go streaming on Netflix 2 weeks. All right. Yeah. No, but I'd never seen Murder on the Orient Express. I had never seen Death on the Nile. And of course, I hadn't seen A Haunting in Venice. So I went ahead and started with Murder on the Orient Express. And what I've noticed with all 3 films is that in Wes Craven style, I'll say, they take like this person who you're like, oh, this is like the top billed actor, in the cast, and then they fucking die in like all 3 films. It feels like Johnny Depp dies, Gal Gadot dies, and Michelle Yeoh. Man,
I haven't watched the second one yet all the way through.
Oh, okay. I thought you had seen all of them.
No, I started. I haven't finished it.
Well, she dies fairly early. Well, no, not fairly. I guess halfway through. Okay, sorry about that.
I'm not even gonna watch it now. Fuck you, man.
well, that's probably the best one. I think the second one is the best. The first one, it's a lot of drawn out whodunit, a lot of detective work. Running around kind of like Clue, after these murder scenes have happened. And then, people confess to the murder, but then another person will confess to the murder. And the first one turns out it was everybody. And that was pretty cool. I like that little twist. The second one, I wanted to try and guess who it was because I obviously got it partially right on the first one, but still wrong because it wasn't everybody that I had guessed. I thought it was Michelle Pfeiffer's character in the first one because I'm like, that's too obvious. You stabbed yourself in the back. It's like, all the way up there. She's trying too hard to make herself not look like the bad guy. What'd you watch?
No, I do. No, go ahead and finish. I do remember there are 2 things I watched.
And then the second one, I guessed it because I'm like, okay, there's a pattern in these movies. They don't, it's never the obvious, obviously. And so it's like, you've got to think about who the least obvious people are. And, you may not know who did it, but it's like, that's usually who it is. And so I guessed it on the third one and I got it right. And Jackie, it was her second choice on the third one, who was the killer. So there's always a cool, explanation that Poirot, unravels. And he's pretty good. I like his character. He loves eggs, and he loves them to be proportionate. I think that's hilarious. And he always talks about his breakfast. It's like, my eggs, they were not the same size. Just makes me almost makes me want a French accent or to be able to talk like one. No. But yeah, I like the trilogy. I think Haunting in Venice is great. I recommended it to my mom because she loves murder mystery. And, I think if you got a Hulu account, check it out, man. Even if you haven't seen the other 2.
It's a good genre.
Check it out.
Whodunits are a good genre. I think you don't want to do too many of them because otherwise they get watered down. But it's nice that they made a little comeback with the Knives Out films and the pure movies being adapted into film. So it's a good genre that's not used enough.
Definitely.
So I think it's a cool thing. I remember a couple other things I watched. For this one, I'll just get out of the way. I joined this RoboCop. I guess that's why I was brought RoboCop earlier. I joined this RoboCop Facebook group that talks about the movies and things like that, and they're constantly blasting the remake in it, right? So I was like, I'm gonna sit down and rewatch the remake while I was off this week, and I just don't get the hatred for the remake. It's clean. I can watch it with the kids. Joel Kinnaman's good in it. It does feel like it could be better. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's still better than 2 or 3. I think. It's not as good as the original.
Yeah.
But like, I like the look of it. I like the design. I like the way they modernized it with the tech and stuff.
Is there crack and hookers? Is there cocaine and hookers?
Well, no.
Okay. That's what it's missing.
But it's
how you capture the soul of
but Gary Oldman is good in it. I mean, I like the fact that the family stays involved with him after he's killed. There's things I like about it. But I did watch this. I watched the first episode of The Continental.
Oh man,
it's just not. Man,
yeah, no.
I'm struggling like how it has almost a 7.5 on IMDb. I don't know if it gets better because like it just, to me, who the producers of this, I know Solinsky is a producer by name because he directed the John Wick films, but you can't tell me he's involved in this. It's like these people I don't think they understand what the world of John Wick is supposed to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the style. It doesn't have the feel. It doesn't have the vibe. The only thing it has anything in common is the hotel in Winston and some assassins. It just, it feels off. It feels just like I was trying really hard to like it. And I'm just like, it just doesn't, it's just missing something. It's missing the vibe of John Wick. It's missing John Wick himself in some ways. I guess the biggest thing is it's not necessary. We don't need it. It's like almost,
no one asked
the
for it.
coolest thing about the John Wick world is that it exists, and you watch it unfold in front of your eyes, and you enjoy the little things that unfold in front of your eyes for what it is. We don't need an explanation of anything behind the scenes, and I think it almost waters it down to the point where like we don't need all this, and was just hoping it would be better, but it's just not,
Yeah, no, it's I remember watching the first episode and just really like some of the stuff that they try and go on, tangents about, and these little scenes like buying land and, trying to get in touch with, wealthy land buyers. And I'm
another
like,
thing is
this isn't
too many characters.
Yeah.
It's way too many characters too. Like John Wick does a good job by introducing
and
characters.
right off the bat too.
Yeah. Where John Wick did a good job of slowly introducing characters. This just throws you into this world, and it's just too much. It doesn't work well. Mel Gibson really feels like, why is he in this? It's just like he's reading his lines, and Mel's not a bad actor. He's bad in this. Yeah. He just doesn't. It's almost like Mel took a paycheck. Like, you know what? They'll put me in these John Wick prequels and give me a paycheck. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, like they went for a name. And, Mel was like, fuck yeah, I'll take it. but yeah, man.
I just, I don't know if I'll go back and watch episode 2 and 3. I think I'll be done with it. I just, they don't like it enough.
That's where I stopped. I stopped at 1. And I was just like, man, it's not that great. I'm not
then it
enticed.
And then they're like an hour and 20 minutes each. I'm like, do you really need 4.5 hour prequel to John Wick? But, But yeah, no, it just wasn't good. And shame, but that's what they get for trying to cash in on things.
I think it would be more successful if they made like what was going on around the John Wick stuff, like in that time, maybe with all the other, Or
if you're going to do a prequel,
developing
do a prequel. Do a John Wick prequel. Show why he became the Baba Yaga.
Mm-hmm.
Go show the ruthless John Wick from 10 years prior.
Where he cleared out the people in power and got the, all those people that he got put into power, and go with that route.
Yeah.
Or build something after his death, a sequel TV series and try and keep it going.
I believe the rumors are developing a 5th one. So... even though Solinsky at this point is not involved yet because he's working on the Highlander remake. So
we'll
see. Did you watch anything else besides those? That's it for you?
Yeah. So I did see that. One of our friends, Alex, over on Thorsk. Well, it's not Thorskin anymore. It's You Suck and Shrewsbury for him. But Alex had posted that he saw Gran Turismo and that he really liked it. And I was like, it looked like it had cool parts. And so I was like, well, maybe there's more to it. So I rented it. I didn't buy it. I watched it. I think David Arbor is good in it. Orlando does his part, but I feel like, you go in it and, if you've seen Ford v Ferrari, you're thinking, okay, it's going to be something similar. It's not. I feel like it's watered down compared to Ford v Ferrari. It does tell the true story of them, having the top 20 Gran Turismo racers compete. That was an actual thing. And they did try and make a run with that racer.
I've heard that's kind of where the movie really over embellishes after that. I heard the real kid only did like one race, if I remember right.
It was a couple, but it wasn't
much.
He didn't have a long career. That's for sure. They, for what he, came from, it was a good opportunity for him. Got the opportunity to drive a real race car. And I think what's cool about it is it does go into these video game modes where you kind of see the lining of the track, like where the computer or the game would want you to go, like the suggested track road to take if you're trying to like cut the person off in front of you and overtake him. It does go into like kind of like a game, like the Gran Turismo game mode. But I think it would have probably worked better as an over the top Michael Bay film, honestly. And you just not even touch on the real story, and you make it into a game about racing cars, kind of like, Fast and the Furious, but keep it grounded like the first couple, Fast and the Furious films, and not go too over the top. So it's okay.
It's interesting that Neil Blomkamp, who directed, Elysium and District 9, and Chappie was not as big of a success, and he tried to get his Aliens remake done, or his Aliens reboot. Then he tried to get his RoboCop reboot done, and none of them worked. And so he took this movie, and this feels like a studio picture. Like, hey, I need to make some money, do something for a studio.
Yeah.
So it can finance. Hopefully, the rumor is that District 10 is coming, sequel to District 9. So we'll see if that's his next project. He's been doing a lot of short films over the last few years, a lot of really horrifying, scary, short sci-fi films. Some of them pretty brutal. So,
yeah.
Blomkamp's a good director.
Yeah, it looks good. I just, like you said, I feel like it's just missing something.
Yeah.
I think it's missing that adrenaline pumping. It's missing that connection with the racer. The racer wants to, he's got this relationship with his dad, and his dad is like, if you get stuck in video games, you're never going to make it, and you're, this is where you're going to work. Come with me to the docks and work the railroads, because that's what you're going to be. You're not going to make yourself into anybody. And then he proves him wrong. So that part of the story is kind of cool, but I feel like it doesn't do a good job of kind of laying out that connection between the dad and the son. There's some good performances there. I just, as a whole, it just didn't work for me. And I kind of agree with most critics where they're, kind of saying, and to your point, I think that could have been the case, just taking it for the paycheck,
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do a little bit of news then before we get into today's feature film. The Knights of the Old Republic remake appears dead officially now, as it's been taken off of most servers and websites, and not going to happen. So
that sucks.
Yep, that's just the way it is. I mean, I don't have a PS5 anyway, so hopefully I'm going to try to save money and get me one next year. We got a trailer for Sony's next Spider-Universe movie, Madame Web, and
Oof.
Man, it looked bad.
Yeah.
Let's put a bunch of good-looking chicks in a movie and hope it sells by putting them in some spider costumes. And we don't care if they can act worth the shit. They're just going to look hot, you know.
Yeah, and then no one asked for this movie. You don't need a Madam Web prequel. Madam Web can be introduced.
Most people don't even know who Madam Web is.
Yeah.
Casual viewers are like, what? Who is that? You know? Just she's a B character in the Spider universe. It's like, why? She's like a second-rate villain.
Yeah. And she's really, kind of introduced in the multiverse, the Spider-Verse. But it's I think you just need her to like make an appearance and cameo. You don't need to give her like a freaking, movie.
Yeah.
I feel like it's turning into Teen Titans Go. Does everything have to have a damn, exhibition movie? Do we need a movie for Batman's fucking bat belt? Do we need a movie for Albert? It's like, well, where is it going to end? You're creeping towards, that way with Madam Web. Just stop.
Yeah. And while the Marvel universe tends to try to refine its footing after Spider-Man No Way Home and not a lot of success since, looks like Fantastic Forecasting is going to start heating up. If you believe the rumors this week, Pedro Pascal might be Mr. Fantastic, which this one kind of came out. No, I love Pedro. Don't get me wrong. We're big Pedro fans here on the show, but
for real,
it's like he's in everything, and now like I didn't see this coming that he might be Reed Richards.
I thought Krasinski was going to do it.
I thought so too, but apparently they there's been some talk that John Krasinski is not sure if he wants to commit to multiple pictures,
okay.
And that could be some of the reasoning why. But I didn't see Pedro coming. I thought, there's other people I thought of. A lot of rumors that Mads Mikkelsen is being looked at for Dr. Doom, and that's pretty good casting. That they want Javier Bardem to come in and do the motion cap and voice for Galacticus. Another, I think, great cast. Javier Bardem. So it looks like this is heating up. I mean, the film is due, next year in 2025. So you imagine casting's got to heat up soon if they're going to start filming and have this thing ready by next year. So,
yeah.
And Vanessa Kirby's still the rumored Mrs. Fantastic. Sue Storm. So.
Sue Storm. We'll see, man.
Fantastic Four to me is a movie that could save the MCU. They're big time characters.
And you start getting into a whole nother rogues gallery that can definitely bring people's interest back into Marvel films, like you said, Galactus, Silver Surfer. You can go cosmic with them, and then of course Doctor Doom.
Yeah, so we'll see and where it goes. That's really all the news this week. And that I noticed. It feels like I missed something that I probably did miss, but I'm not gonna lie. I did the news about 3 minutes before we recorded. It's like I jotted it down real quick. I was like, oh, I need news. Well, let's get into today's featured film then, man. The next 6 months, and actually already started, is going to be it's Godzilla time, man. The 70th anniversary is next year. I can almost guarantee we're going to cover a few Godzilla movies on the show next year, and we're going to start here today. I mean, it's hard to believe in 300 plus episodes that this is only the second time we've ever done a Godzilla film. We did on Long's birthday, we did Godzilla versus Mothra. But is that the one we did? Yeah. And now we're doing this today, and in 2 weeks in American theaters, it's already blowing up theaters in Japan. Godzilla -1 hits theaters, which is the new film from Toho Productions. And then Monarch, The Legacy of Monsters, just hit Apple Plus television. The sequel or prequel/sequel series, I guess, to the current MonsterVerse. And in March, we have Godzilla vs. Kong 2 coming out. So a lot's happening with Godzilla in the world right now.
Godzilla -1 and 2 and 2 weeks though, man. It's 2 weeks away. The 30th. At 5:00, you can see it.
Oh, well, I'm probably going to go that Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
And see it. It's too hard to do afternoon movies after school and stuff. But yeah, So Godzilla minus one hit in theaters. So we thought we'd go back into 2014 and talk Gareth Edwards' Godzilla reboot that launched the current MonsterVerse, and with a new film from Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures, and with the blessings of Toho to reboot Godzilla for American audiences. And I saw this film when it came out, actually at the drive-in theater, which is a pretty cool place to see Godzilla.
Yeah.
And I think my only beef with seeing at the drive-in theater is that it was a little dark. There's so hard to see some things being out at an outdoor theater, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, essentially, this film is a reboot / reworking of the Godzilla mythos, wherein there was a nuclear accident in the 50s that created Godzilla, and Godzilla has basically been in hiding for all these years, along with a couple of other
gives you all those stock footage things. Yeah,
along with a couple other monsters. And Bryan Cranston plays a scientist who his team unleashes one of these monsters unknowingly, and as he witnesses his wife dies, but they never see where the monster goes, but they realize the monster goes back into hiding. And a few years later, Cranston's doing some research as he's stuck on it. And he has, with the help of his son, they discover Site B, basically. And they've been hiding the monster all this time. And then, of course, the monster awakens, and that awakens Godzilla himself into an ascent. And then it also awakens the female, because the two Mutwas want. How do you say I don't know.
Yeah,
it's hard to say. The two monsters, and to basically mate and create more monsters, and it's up to Godzilla to stop them. Of course, the U.S. military has their plan to use a nuclear weapon and draw the monsters off the mainland and try to nuke the monsters, but that does not work the way they want it to. And so, one of the great lines from the movie where Ken Watanabe's character says, "Let them fight," and we get to watch some monster action and Godzilla kicking some ass. And this is a cool film. Visually, it's incredible. Gareth Edwards, man, just like he did with Rogue One, he knows how to set up shots and he knows how to be cinematic.
It's like you can tell they had a filmmaker, a true filmmaker, make this movie versus like a fan. Right. Because if you have a fan that makes the film, you get Godzilla King of Monsters, where it's kind of like, all over the place. I feel like these like you said, the shots are great. I think, them using, the kind of dark and smoky scenes around Godzilla and kind of having him pop out. That was really cool. Even though, depending on how you're watching it, like you said, it is kind of hard to see sometimes. I watched it at night, so it wasn't too bad. But you can tell this Godzilla, he's aged. He doesn't give a shit, and don't fuck with him, man.
Yeah. I also, visually it's an incredible film. I like the way that it's shot from ground perspective a lot to give a scope and size to it, to make these monsters seem as enormous as they are. I think my one beef still with the film 10 years later is going to have a little more Godzilla in your Godzilla film. It just seems like I could use more. And I guess that is one thing I like about King of Monsters. There's lots of Godzilla in it. Where this one, it's a little, there's maybe 20 minutes of Godzilla in this 2-hour film. Yeah. And it just feels like there should be more. There's a lot more with the monsters than they are with Godzilla at times, and that's probably why we want to be for the film. But I think the film makes up for that in spectacle. A pretty decent story that doesn't dumb down the humans as much as King of the Monsters does. And that's one thing about King of the Monsters. The human story is just, you roll your eyes at it. Yeah. Or at least in this one, the human story makes a lot more sense. It's ultimately about Aaron Johnson's character, Cranston's son, getting back to his family, but also doing his duties as a military officer. So it has the human side of this story works better for me than the King of the Monsters.
Yeah. Them trying to fight the monsters and failing. That's always a staple in a Godzilla film. You get like a platoon of soldiers like just unloading on the monster, and it's just like, not doing anything, and the monster comes over there, just freaking eats all of them in one bite. It's pretty pathetic, the attack that the humans were able to wage against them, and luckily they had Godzilla come in there and wreck shit.
Yeah, and Godzilla definitely wrecks shit. And what's cool is like Godzilla, never messes with the humans at all. They shoot at him and all this, and he just sort of ignores them. Like, no, I'm here to help
an
y'all.
annoyance.
Y'all don't realize this.
Yeah,
but y'all are just little flies in the wall bothering me. And this still has one of my coolest moments in the MonsterVerse movie so far. Is I love it towards the end of the film where he rips the one monster's mouth open, just shoots his fire right into his mouth.
Yes,
that's so cool. I'm like, that's a badass
atomic
scene.
Breath right into the mouth. And Jackie was watching it with me, and he charges up and unleashes his atomic breath. And she's like, well, where did that come from? I was like, he's a fucking radioactive lizard, baby. That's what happens.
The king of the monsters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, and yeah, he does tear asshole in this movie. He just destroys. The poor city of San Francisco is ultimately left wiped out almost. It is another one of those movies where you got collateral damage they don't talk about, but they do mention it in King of the Monsters. That's one thing they do mention. Even though King of Monsters kind of takes place in Boston on the other side of the states, they do mention San Francisco and the disaster and people lost their lives. So it's not one of those movies where they totally ignore it. It does exist in the MonsterVerse that this disaster happened with these monsters. I think my other beef with this movie, which we end up getting made up for in the second one, was like the two mutoirs or whatever you call them, the random monsters are just random monsters. And as a Godzilla fan, you're like, man, come on, where's King Ghidorah and these other bad motherfuckers?
Yeah.
And of course, we get all that in the second one.
It was originally, I think the film was originally marketed as Godzilla versus Heisenberg. And people were kind of down that they never got that. They never got Heisenberg. You got these little, monsters.
Wait, who's Heisenberg?
He's one of the he's one of the monsters in the Rogues Gallery.
Oh, I guess I've never heard that name.
Merg versus Godzilla.
What? And I figured these other monsters are probably based on some sort of Godzilla mythology at some point. This way we don't have our Godzilla expert Long on the show with us today, because he would know all these answers. Because that's what Long knows. He knows Godzilla answers. But I think the monsters they did put here are still pretty cool by design. I just wish they had like cooler names.
Now Heisenberg is Breaking Bad.
That's what I was saying. I know that's a Breaking Bad character. I was like, what?
But that's what it looked like. It's like, and then you only get Bryan Cranston in the film for a little bit.
Matt is total randomness.
Yep.
Gee whiz, Matt.
I am the danger. Ah.
You never even watched Breaking Bad. Yeah, you must be slacking on Babylon 5 lately too. You mentioned that lately.
Man, I haven't watched hardly. I think maybe a couple episodes, but I've been tempted to watch the animated, the animated movie that came out, little series. It's a movie or a series movie. But I know I haven't been through enough of season 3 to really.
Yeah, I'd watch more before you do that.
Yeah.
But Godzilla, man, one thing that's cool about this Gareth Edwards movie is it gave him, it pushed him forward to do Rogue. He ended up doing Rogue One after this. Now he has this new movie out, The Creator, that I really want to see. And one thing I like about Gareth Edwards is, as a director, is visually, man, this guy gets, like you said, he's a filmmaker. He gets what visuals are. I mean, there's some great shots in this. There's some great shots in Rogue One. If you've ever seen his first film, Monsters, which is made with a super low budget, some incredible shots in it for a super low budget. And I think it's a cool scene, like when they're looking up at Godzilla and the military is going in, they close the bunker doors in front of them. It's a really, really cool scene. And then it's also kind of thing about terrifying. You close these bunker doors, but there's a monster right out inside the door of them, I completely forgot too, watching this, that Elizabeth Olsen was in this movie.
Yeah, whenever I saw her, I was like, oh, I forgot that she's Ford's wife in the film.
Yeah, she's in there, and she's looking good as always. Doing her thing.
Yeah, man.
And,
the best Olsen. And then Ken Watanabe's great in it. I like him.
Yeah, no, Watanabe. He's one of those guys that's just always a solid, good actor, man. Since he's come on the scene, always like watching his presence on screen, and he gives a sense of here you are, you're making this movie about giant monsters and make believe things, and he brings like this reality to the role, and it was cool to see him return for King of the Monsters too, and I like him in the movie, and Elizabeth Olsen, she's good in it too. She's actually plays the mom who's worried about her husband and taking care of her son and doing her duties as a nurse also at the same time. And I think that's what, like I said, this movie plays on the human story does well. Is you got this aspect of Ford doing his military duties and trying to get to his family. She's doing nursing duties, trying to take care of her son. And I think it gave the humans a little bit more what they do in a disastrous situation like this. Where in the second one, King of the Monsters, the humans are more just like they seem to cause more issues in the second one than they do to help in this one.
Yeah, and I like that there's also like a bomb at the end, so they throw in like another conflict where they've got to disarm the bomb or get it as far away as possible. So I thought that was pretty cool. They've got multiple issues, multiple finales going on.
Right.
And the money this thing made, $93 million the first weekend. And it just, it's the most successful, isn't it the most successful Godzilla movie to date?
It might be. I can't remember King of the Monsters.
It is.
Yeah, it hadn't have made more than King of the Monsters, I would think. Because King of the Monsters, remember, kind of had a good opening weekend. After that, it didn't really wasn't as successful.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, the human story sucks. And people are like, I want to see the monsters, though. I don't care about the human story.
Right.
There was that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, it did 93 million opening weekend, 200 million total in the U.S., worldwide 524. So, yeah, pretty successful. When King of the Monsters only did 110 total in the U.S. So, yeah, definitely more successful. And King Kong versus Godzilla. I don't think that was during the COVID thing with multiple releases. So, yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, 100 million U.S., 470 million worldwide for Godzilla vs. Kong. So, it's still not as much money, but pretty successful considering it was a simultaneous release on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And now we'll have, in a couple weeks, Godzilla -1 comes out. And then we will have Godzilla vs. Kong 2 in just a few months. And Monarch Legacy of Monsters on Apple Plus right now. So, good stuff. I like Godzilla. Looking forward to the 70th anniversary next year. Looking forward to seeing Godzilla -1. And we'll definitely do a couple Godzilla movies next year for the anniversary, I think.
Oh, for sure.
So, all right, man. Are we ready? Are we ready for that time of the month? You got pop culture ready for this month?
It's that time of the month, man.
This month in pop culture history.
That's right, buddy. So this month in pop culture history, and really a lot of these films got released in November. I think all of them. But 2001, 22 years ago, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone released. And, of course, we know, through 9 books. Was it 9 books? 7 books.
7 books.
7 books. Yeah. Very successful. A lot of fan following even now. Cosplays, Halloween. People are still dressing up like Harry Potter, even though he hasn't had a hit movie in 14
these
years.
Kids that grew up or dressed as Harry Potter, all right. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Veteran role play.
That's what it is
with Hermione.
With Hermione. But yeah, man. What's your favorite Harry Potter film?
I've still never seen the last 2.
Oh, that's right.
Just got to watch them. But I liked the one where they introduced Ullman's character.
Oh yeah,
Prisoner of Azkaban. That's probably
Prisoner of
Azkaban.
One. Yeah, that one's good, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, it was funny because I went to that. I'll never forget. I went to that. And my mom wanted to go see it because I I'd seen the first two, and I just had not sat and watched the third one yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, I haven't seen the third one, but I'll go with you. You know, I'm sure I can figure out what's going on. And I remember watching it and just walking out, like really enjoying that Prisoner of Azkaban. So I thought it was a good movie.
Nice. Man, we're almost coming up on a anniversary for this film, but 1984, Nightmare on Elm Street released. Wes Craven, of course, the film that saved New Line Cinema. And of course, after that, it was referred to the house that Freddy built.
Yeah, it's so odd that movie didn't come out like in October. You know, I always thought it was weird that I knew it had a November release. And I always thought it was weird that it had a November release. But I also look at it then in 1984, you didn't have that release window like you have now. Like now you got a horror movie. If you don't put it out in the springtime, you got to get it out September, October because you have a release window. Where back then, you figure you could put a horror movie out after Halloween because you had a longer release window. You weren't moving on to big ticket Thanksgiving movies yet, like you are nowadays, So, I think that's a big difference.
One thing I did not know, 1940, Walt Disney became an FBI informer. Had no idea. So he started serving as an informer for the Los Angeles office. And his job was to report back information on Hollywood subversities.
Yeah, but it's pretty brief. It's a pretty brief moment in history, and he didn't do that much reporting. Really, it's just
I don't think he contributed much.
Yeah, they kind of hard and say, if you see anything we need to know, But yeah, I kind of
don't worry, man.
Interesting story.
Me and Mickey Mouse are on it. Ho ho!
Yeah, if you see Marilyn Monroe behind there, blowing somebody, let us know.
Let us know. It's like, hey, she's with JFK. Nope, you didn't see that. Yep. 1990. Man, almost feels like yesterday. But John Hughes film, Home Alone, directed by Christopher Columbus, and starring Macaulay Culkin, premieres in Chicago. It was like still some of these kids' favorite movies.
A lot of kids
Home Alone
like
and Home Alone 2.
Pretty funny. It's a pretty funny movie. And before made Macaulay Culkin rich, so he could buy a bunch of drugs and hookers and getting himself into trouble.
That's what life's all about.
I don't know if he'd bought hookers, but I know he had some drug issues.
Yeah.
And, I shouldn't make fun of his issues, but no, the movie is a classic. People still love it today. It's legitimately a pretty funny movie.
We had just finished talking about this. 2019 space western Star Wars franchise Mandalorian, by Jon Favreau, released on Disney Plus. Of course, starring Pedro Pascal, Gina Carano, Bill Burr. The Rogues gal. The cast. Yeah.
Disney Plus itself launched that day. With the first episode, and it's changed the streaming wars. That's for sure.
I can bring you in warm, bring you in cold.
And, now that the Mandalorian's been a very successful part of Star Wars lore, everyone loves it. It introduced the biggest marketing genius thing they could ever come up with Baby Yoda.
Yes,
and the child, and they sold probably millions of dollars of child merchandise. I'm sure at this point.
For real, man. It's still going, too. People still love Baby Yoda. And refuse to call him Grogu.
Expect an announcement soon about fourth season and other things. So.
Yeah. 2006, Casino Royale released, the 21st James Bond film starring Daniel Craig. Going back to that ruthless James Bond that we got in The Living Daylights and License to Kill, but no more campiness and such.
Still one of the best Bond films. It's so good you didn't think it'd get better, but then you got Skyfall a couple years better, which is far superior than even this. And Casino Royale is a really good film, but then Skyfall is probably still the best Bond film made, ever.
Oh yeah.
And, but it's definitely a good reboot, man. I wish we could have maybe gotten a few more Craig films, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 films from him. Mm-hmm. Was it 5 films? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Casino, Quantum, Skyfall, Spectre, and then Die Another Day.
No Time to Die.
No Time to Die, sorry.
Yeah. So it would have been nice if we got some more films because I really liked him as Bond. But, we'll take the 5 films we got. I mean, all 5 of them are pretty solid. I mean, Spectre's – everyone hates on Quantum of Solace. I kind of like that one. To me, Spectre's the one that's a little kind of boring.
Yeah.
And even it's not terrible. It's just kind of like,
And it's got Batista in it too. He's pretty badass in it. I like that they, with that movie, they at least went back to that like fucking badass villain type that's in there.
Yeah.
Like Jaws.
Well, and it's got Christoph Waltz as Blofeld, who's fantastic. It's just I don't know. I think it was just the plot of it was kind of like, it's all right.
That's true. So I don't know if you've ever seen this film. This one, it caught my eye because it's a favorite of my dad's. It's starring Jack Nicholson, 1975. We got this film 48 years ago, and it's The One Who Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, based on the adaptation of the novel by Ken Casey, directed by Milos Forman, and of course, starring Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I've never actually sat and watched all of it. It's a Kubrick film, and I'm just not a huge Kubrick guy.
Yeah, hit or miss with Kubrick.
Most of the time, it's missed for me. I don't know. I don't really care for his films.
You're one of those guys. I think the only movie that I can say that, hey, I may put on every so often is Full Metal Jacket. And even then, sometimes you just got to be in the mood for that, for that film. And then lastly, we just, got done talking about monsters. 1931, Frankenstein, Boris Karloff, directed by James Whale, based on Mary Shelley's 1818 novel, Frankenstein, released.
Yep. One of my favorite Universal horror movies. In fact, I think I forgot to mention the show over the Halloween. I did watch Bride of Frankenstein, the sequel, which is actually hard to believe it's better than the first one. It's really? Bride of Frankenstein is one of the best movies. Is one of the best of the Universal classics. It's always considered like the primo. Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, Frankenstein is great too. It's such a cool movie. I'm so looking forward to Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein remake. I mean, it's going to be badass with Del Toro doing it.
Yeah, man. You got Del Toro knows he knows how to make a monster and still make that like emotional connection those films require. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it's going to be great. But man, unbelievable film. It's 92 years old. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good shit, Matt. Good shit. As always. All right, man. Well, next week we are going to roll right on with more podcasting and going to talk a movie that was an Oscar winner, man. And it won the Oscar kind of out of a surprise. It came out early in the year, didn't make a ton of money at the box office, but it found a home on video and things like that and got some Oscar buzz. And it kind of introduced the world in a sense to Jeremy Renner, because at this point he had been around, but he had not been a huge star. Yeah. And he stars in this. It's quite a remarkable film, man. It's really well done war movie.
Filmed with all hand cameras too.
Yeah. Shot by Catherine Bigelow, and she won the Oscar for can't remember if she won Best Director for this or not, but definitely won Best Picture. And I mean, she may have. I think this might be the year she beat her ex-husband, James Cameron. Yeah, because he was nominated for Avatar. I think this might be the same year Avatar came out, and she ended up winning. We'll have to research that for next week.
Yeah, we're going to have to look at that, yeah.
Or maybe it was Zero Dark 30 that was the one that was nominated the same year as Avatar. We'll have to look and see. Mm-hmm. But that is the Hurt Locker.
Welcome to Camp Victory.
Oh, Camp Victory? I thought this was Camp Liberty.
Oh, no, they changed that about a week ago. Victory sound better.
All right. So what do you got?
The car has been parked illegally. The suspension is sagging. There's definitely something heavy in the trunk.
Interesting.
What's he doing?
I'm gonna die. I wanna die comfortable.
How many bombs have you disarmed?
873.
873. You're a wild man, you know that?
That was so bad. Our first time working together. What do you think?
I think us working together means I talk to you and you talk to me.
You going on a date, Sanborn?
My team leader is inspiring. He's gonna get me killed.
What's the best way to go about disarming one of these things?
The way you don't die, sir. That was good.
What do we have here?
This box is full of stuff that almost killed me.
What about this one? Where's this one from, Will?
It's my wedding ring. Like I said, stuff that almost killed me.
Put down the phone! Burn him, Aldrin! I can't get a shot!
I was scared.
Yeah?
Well, everyone's a coward about something. We're going on a mission. And my job is to keep you safe so we can keep going on missions.
It's combat, buddy.
Go! Everybody get back! Go, go!
You realize every time you suit up, it's life or death.
Found something.
You roll the dice. And you deal with it.
Oh, boy.
And this is a film that, a lot of modern war films that play on the things that have happened in Afghanistan and stuff like that. I felt like a lot more cash grabs, over the years as they were trying to cash in on current events. But there are a few like this one and American Sniper and Lone Survivor that I think were really good and really well done. Even though Lone Survivor might be a bit of an embellishment from what we know, it's still a good film. But The Hurt Locker is probably one of the top two, along with American Sniper, from this era of modern war films, and just such a remarkably well done movie with a great cast and great acting. Anthony Mackie is in this in one of his early roles, and great direction. And looking forward to talking it next week. It's been a while since I watched it, and so looking forward to watching it and talking about it.
And that dude from Red Dragon, I forget his name. He makes a cameo in it, and he was in Mission Impossible. Or no, he was in James Bond. He's like the new M, basically.
Oh yeah, Ray Fiennes.
Ray Fiennes, yeah, he's in there. He's as the he's either British or Australian. One of
British intelligence or something like that.
British intelligence. Yeah.
No, this is a good movie with a good cast, man, and a lot of people, it kind of was a controversial Best Picture winner, I guess, because people felt like, oh, well, no one saw the movie, but that doesn't mean it's not worth seeing.
Exactly.
People have definitely seen it since, and definitely a good watch. So we're going to talk to Hurt Locker on next week's show. And until then, the rebelradiopodcast.com for all your Rebel Radio needs. And we thank you as always for listening to the show. And until then, continue to be safe. This has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
Remember, as always, just go there and do it
Do it
with a yawn.